Amazeballs is the word I'm going to use today. That's because some leaks have come out about the Oculus Quest 3. I'm not going to lie, I am very excited. This is literally the Ready Player One headset we've all been dreaming of. So let's get straight to it. So first thing we'll go over is the controllers. So as you can see now, these images are going around the deepest crevices of Reddit and other pages. And what you'll notice straight away, like immediately, is no tracking ring, which to be honest with you is a great thing. I mean, the amount of times smacked into the ceiling or anywhere. But you're thinking, oh, well, how's the Oculus gonna track where the controllers are? And that's where these sort of what looks like cameras, and according to some sources, Upload VR, they are cameras. So the controllers are independently tracked regardless of what the headset can see, which reminds me of HTC Vive with the base stations. So you could literally have your controllers the other side of the room and they'd be tracked regardless whether you look at them or not, which is good for games like Beat Saber or even things like Space Pirate Trainer. When you go to grab your shield, the controller would know when the controller is behind your back and know its position. So there's so many different options you could have. You could even have the controllers as like an object in a game. So say if you have to place something at a certain point, you could have a controller as a pet and it would just sort of like animate and stuff. You can move it around. That'd be pretty cool. You could just leave it there. You could leave it on the floor and it would stay there because it would know where it is. So it's interesting whether the headset that pairs with this is tracked independently as well, or are the controllers responsible for the entire tracking? I don't know. So now we have an idea of what the controllers would be like. What about the headset? So a lot has leaked about the headset as well, and this is where things get really, really interesting. So I'll just read a few paragraphs from Upload VR. There are allegedly 3 sensors on the exterior of the headset, a 4K 120 FPS RGB camera for color pass-through and mixed reality. That is amazing to start with. Finally, literally the headset, wearing the headset, the pass-through would be, well, my eyesight's not very good, so if we were on par, I could just wear the headset all day long, no problem. And 2 side-facing 1K near-infrared cameras. So I'm assuming that's for the tracking. As well as an exterior sensor, there are allegedly 2 480p 120f eye tracking cameras. Wow, finally, this is insane, think about it. The XR2 chip is underclocked as it is, so imagine eye tracking where you could render just a tiny portion of the screen, so that would bump the performance up potentially like 2-3x, which is insane. Plus you'd have games and workrooms where you could actually look at someone in the eye, and you could also have games based around eye tracking. So oh my god, telekinesis, imagine that. Imagine just looking at an object, looking at a hammer, sort of like, come to me. That would work perfectly with eye tracking. Face tracking cameras, wow. So this is quite literally Ready Player One, you know, when he turns on the little projection screen onto his face in the first film. So references to facial expressions were actually found on the previous update. Essentially, it could replicate your entire face digitally. You know, if you were sad, angry, happy, confused, ecstatic, it would replicate it on your avatar. So that is amazing to start with. Also found in the firmware files are references to the panels, OLED micro display. So again, increase in resolution, which is incredible because the Oculus Quest 2, to be fair, has a pretty decent resolution. And here's another interesting point, 2 cooling fans. Now see, the Quest 2 only has 1 and it is underclocked on the XR2 chip. So the performance is already being dampened from the lack of cooling. So you imagine this in combination with eye tracking, and you're talking like, this is another generation up. I think this is even more than a generation up from the Quest to the Quest 2. Because the performance increase could be insane. I mean, with eye tracking, you could literally nearly replicate PC performance because you're rendering such a small portion. The only example I can think of where they talked about these sort of specifications, and that was the Half Dome project. As a form factor, if you notice, the headset is different, and that could be due to new lenses. The Half Dome prototype, as I'm showing on the screen now, was a version of a sort of refinement of the Quest where they used pancake lenses. And pancake lenses have a different form factor. They're sort of superior, but they were expensive to manufacture. But what was interesting is this headset had varifocal lenses, so the depth of field would change depending, just like the normal eye. So if you imagine you look at something close up to your hands, then you look far away, your depth of field automatically changes depending on how far the object is. So the headset would work in a similar manner, lenses moving backwards and forwards. But I believe they worked on a new technology where they didn't need to have mechanical devices in that. They could just sort of stack the lenses on top of each other and activate different ones. And what's interesting is, with these pancake lenses, is the field of view, 140 degrees, with a panel resolution of 4K by 4K. Now that would be incredible. So now we've covered the basics of the leaks. Let's make some speculation of worst case scenario and best case scenario. So we'll start with worst case, that we've got everything wrong, that the controllers are some sort of 3DoF controllers designed for a business device with, say, higher battery length. Maybe some of the things are true, like the 4K pass-through for desktop VR, for example. And this is purely a business device. Now, based on Oculus's track record, they tend to like blowing people out of the water with new tech, and they don't really care about their own product line or destroying previous product lines by releasing a better product for a cheaper price, which to many people's disgust, I think what Facebook is focused on is moving the tech forwards as fast as possible, getting mass adoption as fast as possible. They're sort of taking the Elon Musk route of technology development. So now we'll move on to best case scenario, and this is where I get really excited. Let's just say every leak that I said is true. Now if we compare this, let's just compare this to, say, a Ready Player One headset. In the film and the book, it was retinal projection. We're not there yet, but the resolution of 140 degrees of field of view, which is a ginormous step up from where we are now. I mean, it's like 40% increase. And with varifocal lenses, so that helps with depth of focus, making things look more realistic. And then on top, we've got eye tracking to increase performance. And with face tracking, independently tracked controllers, I mean, you could quite literally, with Facebook's magic of tracking your hands at the moment, they could quite literally track your limbs, track your body, track your posture. But be interested to know what you all think. If the rumours are true, will you be upgrading? Is this the first headset you're going to get? I mean, with the track record of Oculus at the moment, I really wouldn't even bother with buying an Oculus Quest 2 if you think about it. Just wait. And it's the end of October, Oculus Connect, and they have a habit of releasing things there and then. Also, here's a video about some interesting controllers that I found circling around the web that you might be interested in. If you like the content, please subscribe. This is your virtual chap. Thank you for listening or watching, depending on what you're doing. Thank you. Bye bye.